So what's going on here is that um, Indie Dev Dan released a video recently about using Agent Sandbox, and as an open source loving dev, I modified it to use Docker Sandbox instead. Now I am running an experiment, giving Cloud Code running Opus 4.5 to use the OpenCode CLI to build out a full stack application within the Docker Sandbox. So now the Cloud is currently going through my code base, looking at all the work that has been done so far to build out the Docker Sandbox before it starts building on it. So to show you what's there, I can give you a look at the tree structure. So yeah, some of your prompts have nothing to do with this. I'm just using it. Check easy notes. So this is the one we will give it. This is the instruction we're going to give it to implement for us. So So the Sandbox CLI implementation is here. This is this is an hello world. So for additional context, I used OpenCode with Grok Fast to implement this Docker Sandbox, and it's basically using the sandbox here based on the current implementation, and it's using it to creating a sandbox and running the application inside. Yeah, so you can, this is basically the script, and it's writing the script into the file inside the sandbox and running the command. And this is how the Docker file is that's used to set up the Docker Sandbox. So it's basically using Ubuntu as a base operating system, and here it's getting all the environment ready from the base dependencies, Node.js, Python, UV, pip. So basically everything it needs to bootstrap and run applications inside a sandbox. Okay, so Claude is creating a plan here. interested to see how this goes. One of the agentic uh, workflows I'm exploring is in a meta way, letting the agents operate other agents. Um, so it is possible. What I'm trying to do is to build a framework around it, an easy way to, to do it. So my process for that is once I'm done with this experiment, um, basically using a TMOX session because it has the ability to use TMOX session. So it's basically giving it access to a separate terminal environment. And inside that terminal environment, it can call OpenCode. And ideally, once all of this is done, I want to put this inside a development sandbox so it's safer to run. So now it's checking if OpenCode is installed. As engineers, and this is one of the reality of being an engineer, that we spend a lot of our time waiting for things to finish running. And when it comes to this agentic CLIs, like Cloud Code and Gemini CLI and the rest, you're mostly waiting a lot of times. This is why I use OpenCode with Grok Fast, because Grok Fast is really fast and it gets things done a fraction of the time it takes Cloud Code. The downside, however, is since Grok Code Fast is not as, I mean, Claude is still has the state of the art coding models, the quality of the work there might not be on par, and it's why I mostly use Grok Fast to do the implementation and leave the other difficult tasks to Claude. So here now it's trying to build it out. So it's running this command in my Docker. And one of the things I saw when I saw the original video is that why do I need an API key for this when we have Docker Desktop? And all of the other things I've explored with this is you could also build your own sandbox as well. And this is part of the fun aspects of this agentic coding era, that you, to some extent, to a large extent, you could build a lot of things, especially for development, for a lot of things. And one of the ideas I've been exploring, for instance, is a lot of people don't know that SQLite does support vector embeddings. It's called SQLite-Vec. It's one of the fun things that the more you know about the software stack, the more deeper you can go in the things you can explore. So in the meantime, let's explore other aspects of this project. I like the tree command a lot because it lets me have a more visual look into what's going on in my in the repo. All right, now the building is going on and it's already lining up to check for open code, waiting for the other one to finish. One of the things I know it's able to do is to run things in parallel. Um, that's where prompting comes in. So, like I said, Cloud Code is, in my opinion, one of, if not the state of the art for coding models. It's a you have to weigh between getting things done versus how fast you want to get done. So if you want to get something going really fast, um, yes, Fast Grok, Grok Fast is very good for that, getting things done. However, I would really suggest you kind of scope it down. Like, you know, it is quite a capable model. However, um, there's a potential there that it runs amok and you're spending your time fixing bugs. However, one of the interesting things with this agentic era we're in is if you know how to find your way around it, you could prompt it right to do a self debug. And this is one of the things I love about this agentic development that we're in, that you could, uh, the feedback loop where the agent does the work and it also checks the work. Okay, so as much as I'm tempted to not want to ask again, I want to keep a tight leash on this. So it appears it's done with this, and now it's running the open code check. Once this is done, I'm going to use OpenCode to run OpenCode, using Grok Fast, and you can compare how fast it takes. By the length of this video, it would be uh, at least 3 times as fast. That would be my estimation. This is going to take a long time. However, I think while waiting for this, just to show, I'm going to run this with OpenCode as well. Okay, so it has confirmed that, and I will use this terminal for that. All right, so So I'm putting this in plan mode so I can have a tighter leash on it. All right, so in that time, it's made a plan. It's going to create a timber section and verify Sandbox, okay? It's going to use the CLI. Okay, that's interesting. To avoid conflict, I see. Okay, I like this plan. So back on Cloud Code, it's ready to start its test. All right. So you can see how fast it's going. And when you're using this agentic CLI, of course, this is the important aspect of putting a sandbox. It's not in the sandbox currently, but that would be ideal. But right now, it's created a sandbox for itself, and it's ready to begin. So here, let's see. So here, it's creating a sandbox and creating a executing is inside the sandbox, the main.py. Okay, that's interesting. It's basically just one-shotted it seems. Okay, so instead of doing it directly, it's writing it into a temporary backend and then writing that into the sandbox. Okay, that worked. And now it's running it, installing Pape Fast and Unicorn, Fast API and Uvicon to be able to run the app. So you can see all of this, it's running it inside the sandbox. Okay, we can still confirm here that it's still running it in the sandbox, creating the text front end. And this is what I'm talking about, the feedback loop, that it's able to recheck its work. And this is the beauty of the CLI. So back here, Claude is creating the tmux, and by the same time, we can see this is already at the testing phase. So it's having an issue with port number. Okay, so it has both running. I will take a look at that. So you can see what I'm saying, that in the time it takes, Grok Fast has already built the app and trying to test it. So it's about to in between speed and efficiency. So for context, I'm going to open this tmux session here to see what's going on. Okay. All right, so here it's testing it. Oh, that is interesting. Um, so so this is the app it built, and it's going to be checking it and testing it. That's interesting. So within the time it took, so on the side, it's trying to fix some bugs, and this is the importance of talking about the feedback loop. Okay, here we go. So it's testing out the API. So this is the backend on 8182. So this is how things are. You can see it's beautiful stack, a simple full stack app with the front end and the back end. And now since it has ability to use the browser, it can, let's say, fail to increment. Okay. So one of the downside with using a fast model like Grok Fast is it can go off the rails really quick. So it's important to try to put it on the tight leash as much as possible. So here we can see this is the front end it built. This is um, the back end is on. Yeah, I think it's mixed up the port numbers. Okay, so here let's see what's going on here. So it's running a watch command here. That's why you can see this is just keep on running and running. So yeah, it's it's doing some tests. Let's see. Oh, it's ready. Okay. Okay, I think it's also clicking on it. That's why the numbers are. Okay, so okay, let's reset. One, two, three. There you go. So OpenCode successfully implemented this at way a fraction of the time it takes to run code. So when we're talking about agentic development, my suggestion is um, let the faster model do you can think of it as the aged veteran who can't type fast but is learned. So the planning, you can use it to go back and forth on the tasks to be done, the project roadmap and features, and let the more enthusiastic, faster models like Grok Code do the work. Um, if I were ever to use ICO, it will be faster than this. So usually when I'm done with this, I like it to do a retro sprint doc. So one of the things I like here is like doc-driven development, where you know this AI agents, they love Markdown. So um, this is basically a way to just share. Oh, this is, um, and yeah, I'm going to go through this to see what it came up with. Especially, I especially like telling it to generate ASCII. And you can see it really drew this beautiful picture of the implementation that within the sandbox, it has a front end service and a backend service and an SQLite database, all self-contained. And you can see the API here for the get, for the post. Um, yeah, this is this is quite interesting. So here you can see, we saw it. It was creating a temporary file that it's used to, just copy directly into the sandbox to reduce um, errors. And here it's starting the service using a sandbox ID. Uh, I'm trying to find, yes. So here, this is where it, since everything is native to the CLI, it can set the sandbox ID to be um, to the timestamp. So it's always going to be unique. And here it's going through with the UI testing. I ask it to use the MCP playwright. So this is awesome. Basically, let's go back to see what's going on here. So you can see, like I mentioned 3 times, but it's much faster than that, and it makes sense. Like the Opus model uses a lot of thinking tokens. So ideally, I think I will try using IQ uh, 4.5 to see how fast that goes. Okay, so it created the Sprint doc. So in my environment, I like this pattern of giving it a dedicated doc to just write out every session. So every session is stored under this doc. So each session is a sprint. So here it's numbered to kind of give a way to trace the work that's going on in the repo. This allows some flexibility in using different agentic models. So I can take this to cursor to anti-gravity basically, and so it's basically we're working with team of engineers, team of agentic devs. Okay, so I I want to see how far this goes, because my so on one hand we validated the sandbox works, and on the other hand I am trying to make this work in a meta way, making an agent control other agents. And one of the things I would expand on this is converting this into an MCP sandbox. Yeah, but however, it's the CLI is still, in my opinion, the best. I think the MCP is for, uh, yeah. I would have to weigh which, you know, the performance based on test. But for now, I am good with using the CLI. Okay, so let me check. So yeah, this is gonna take more time. I'll be fine with it once I see that it's running open code. But yeah, this is the future of development, that we engineers we we use compute to our advantage. We use the CLI tools combined with tools like Cursor to get things done. So here I'm going to yeah that was a mistake. So just let's use Cursor to review some of the work that's been done. Um, so this was where I started to plan this out as the first sprint. So basically migrating the A2B cloud to Docker. And I debated over what was the best to use. It was suggesting Podman and so on, but I realized that Docker was the best for this. And in the second sprint, this was where using OpenCode created the Docker suite. So you can see this is the E2B one, and this is the Docker version, and all the way to this Docker created. So it was able to create the full stack Docker file that's basically for the sandbox. So basically everything needed to build an application inside is here. So you can see the Node.js stack, so it can run npm or Node, and you can see also UV, the Python ones, and so on. Yeah, so everything in it, because once you have SQLite, you could basically do any database operations. So, and it even have the ability to use it in a coding in a coding way, and I can show you the so this is the hello world it used using the Docker Sandbox SDK. I will try to clean this up and open source this Docker Sandbox. And this is the file it one-shotted. It one-shotted the backend, then wrote that into the sandbox, as well as the very light view UI. And yeah, and so this is the one it just so this was the one OpenCode finished up. So successfully create summary, infrastructure validation. So in this doc-driven development, you could see by just putting it out there, basically just talking about what it did, I can ask Cursor to do the same. And let's check on this. That's a nice thought experiment. Let's ask Cursor to do the same. So it's giving itself some instruction here. Looks good to me. Okay, so now we're going to ask Cursor to do the same. I'm not subscribed to Cursor, so we might hit the rate limit, but let's see how much we can push this. So we are asking it to create the is a counter. All right, so here I'm going to ask you to use to agent, let's see. Oh, well, sorry, we can't run this experiment today. Okay. Another thing we could do is, let's check back on this. Yeah, this is taking longer than I expected. Um, I think we had a good walkthrough today. Thanks for your time. See you next time.